This is the Bonus Section Podcast, episode number 39, Why You Must Declare War on Distractions. Are you the type of person that knows you meant for something much bigger in this lifetime and that somewhere inside of you, there's this huge version of yourself trying to break through, but in spite of all your self-development, you just can't seem to find the way up? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Bonus Section and the host of this podcast, and a person just like you, trying to learn how to live the most fulfilling life possible. To help you take immediate action to get moving in a better direction, we take all the notes from each episode and we post them over at freethinkingtools.com. We just leave a couple episodes up there so you have some notes. You can get a cozy spot or a place that makes you think, and you can write down some thoughts and begin to build a really solid plan for your life so I can help you get what you really want out of it. All right. Why you must declare war. War, I say, on distractions. This is a very important subject here today that just keeps popping up in my life. The first point here is distractions, generically, whatever they may be, are the thieves that you allow to steal your own dreams. Let that sink in for a second. Distractions can be things that, you're driving along the road and you're distracted. You're a distracted driver. There's marketing everywhere. There's somebody crossing the road. There's a beautiful sunset, something. Distractions are everywhere. They abound. They take our focus off of the thing that, quote unquote, we're supposed to be doing at the moment. Some of those clearly are life or death. Are we going to our job? Are we distracted from doing it? We get fired. Now we can't put food on the table if we can't eat, right? All those things are basic. So certainly at the core of how we exist, distractions, we've already declared war on them. And we downright panic when things aren't going our way. And we get pushed all the way to the lowest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we can no longer provide for ourselves the basics of living: food, shelter, water, those types of things, right? So distractions that I'm talking about, though, go beyond that, because of course, I think most of us who are of sane mind and body are able to go out there and reconcile, okay, I better get to work and get rid of the distractions and make a living. But it's beyond that. See, that's the animal brain that has a really good ability to survive. And again, presuming that the mind and the body are not compromised to the extent where that's not allowed and we need the help of others. I'm talking about beyond that, though. See, beyond that, there's this thing that's the human condition. And it's what makes us different from the animal kingdom, per se, is that we really want to thrive. And we have this unbelievable ability to choose the direction of what we want to thrive in. And so all these desires, we come out of the womb, and as children, we're just so curious, and there are things that we want to do. And when left to do those things, people become downright, brilliant at something. The child that becomes just an unbelievable, watching a TV series called The Queen's Gambit about a chess player. And it's just fascinating to watch what circumstances and what curiosity and what natural inclination can look like when it comes together. I mean, there's some negative sides to the show too, but just that wonderfulness of that singular focus to become fabulous at something and be recognized, and to feel good about oneself and then to be recognized by others. It's a lot of fun. And it's available to everybody. Sure, some of you might be in tough circumstances where you don't feel like it's possible, but you keep pushing for it, and you'll get moving in that direction, regardless of how heavy the burdens might be. But it's then in that quiet room all by yourself, where you might have the physical aspects and assets that we have. I'm sitting here today doing this podcast in front of a wonderful MacBook, and my iPhone is next to it. And I have this beautiful Heil PR40 that I'm speaking into, and a Zoom sound recorder, and life is good, right? I have all these things. But when I come down into this space that I've created to do this thing, to get this message out there, this thing that's important to me, to coach, to teach, to leave a positive footprint and be a person for others, it's fundamental to whether or not the judgment against that line, be a person for others, at the end, I want to be judged against that. And if I have a conscious moment at the end of my life, did I do that, will be the question. And it will come down to moments like this, recording a podcast like this. It'll come down to this moment. Did I get here today? Did I write down the thoughts that were on my mind that I knew if I could just share them with you, that maybe it would make a major difference in somebody's life, that they would not be distracted, that they would get this, that they would reset, and they would get that thing that they always wanted. What a wonderful thing. And I don't need to know about it, but maybe I played a role in it, right? It would be wonderful. But I fight distractions. I can pick up the iPhone. I can get lost in the latest news. I like to Google what's happening in the news. I love the aesthetic of pictures online. So, I can go down a rabbit hole on cars, houses, all sorts of other things for hours just looking online. All distractions to the thing that must get done to make me feel fulfilled. So here I am sitting here just naming off a few things while I'm standing here, or sitting here alone. Imagine now when I go out and that's complicated by being out in public. I'm distracted by conversations with interesting people or opportunities, whatever it might be. My goodness gracious, are we under attack or what? But it's that decision. Do I allow myself to let those distractions steal my dream? Meaning, does it steal the steps that I need to take to get to my dream? Because that's the next point here. It takes much more time, way more time than you might think it does to succeed. So there really is no room for these distractions to get what you want. So oftentimes in life, we'll look at a top performer in anything. Any part of life, you look at a great writer, a great orator, a great athlete, a great business person. And we tend to diminutize what we think they did to get there. Well, it's pretty easy to get these days. Go on to Audible. I love Audible as an app. Get Audible and listen to the story of a successful person. For me right now, I'm running through a jag of books about successful business people. And it's staggering how much time they spent tinkering, thinking about it, not sleeping, whatever it might be. It's stunning. And it's not just for those passionate enough to have fallen into it. I mean, it's not necessarily just a unique way that you're born. Everybody has an interest. Everybody has a passion. Of course, the story will sound a little bit differently, but in the 168 hours you have every week, to really learn that craft and to become better at that thing. And maybe it's something brand new. Maybe it's something that you've got 95% of the things in place and you're working on distraction free to get to that next level. And you have this 5% and you just keep getting distracted when you need to sit down and put in the work that it takes to conquer that last piece of the puzzle. Imagine that, doing an entire 500-piece puzzle on a huge table, only to come down to maybe about 25 pieces left in the 500, and you procrastinate it. And you distract. You keep walking by the dining room, and there's the 25 pieces, and you allow yourself to go somewhere else. Whereas if you could just finish that puzzle, and it would take you to another level of life that would open up and think about that next level. What would it feel like if I could fight off these distractions and I could get to the next level and you complete the time frame? So some of you are already putting in enormous amounts of time. Some of you have put in so much time that you're exasperated. You're like, oh, this is never going to happen. Go listen to how many times somebody successful fails, is set back, is on the precipice of losing everything. It's staggering. But you know what? Those people have this sense of, well, what else would I do? I'd have to put the same effort into something else that I did that I was passionate about if I was trying to build myself up into the best life that I thought was possible, right? That's what I say in the opening of the podcast. I'm just like you. I'm trying to live the most fulfilling life possible. And so I try to keep fighting through all the things that I need to do. So you might get in a rhythm, for example, of sitting down once a week and banging out the podcast and getting your voice out there. But what does that look like on the website? What does that look like on the YouTube channel, the social channels? And then can you take that to a newsletter? Can you organize that? It all takes work. It all takes time. You have to work on it first too, meaning you have to understand strategically, well, what kind of work do I have to do to get there? Then you got to get into it and do work. So everything takes time. This is why I tell my kids and I tell everybody, listen, don't pursue things in life that don't matter to you. Don't pursue somebody else's dream. When you go after something, it's got to be something that matters to you, because it's going to take all of your time, a large part of your time. Now, of course, if you have family, you want to spend an equal proportionate amount of time with them. You also want to make sure that before you ever make a formal commitment in a relationship, that they understand your passions and you understand theirs, and there's compromise and acceptance of that. You don't want to be in a relationship that just tugs away. It just won't work. It'll blow up, because everything takes time. For that matter, a successful relationship takes time. And if you keep allowing distractions around that instead of investing in it, and then you expect what? To be successful in that? You see, it applies to everything. This war on distractions that are stealing from us all the things that truly matter to us. Now, again, of course, if you're trapped in something that doesn't truly matter, get out. Get out. As long as you are truly understanding that you're in a bad situation, whatever it might be, the wrong school, the wrong relationship, the wrong job, whatever it is, it's okay to get out. Because once you're free, you're going to go back to that basic level, that animalistic behavior. You're going to do whatever it takes to make that living, to put food on the table and shelter over your head, so that you can spend the rest of this enormous amount of time. Look, anybody can pick up a job somewhere or create one for about 40 hours out of the 168 every week that are available to make a living, to get the automobile you need, the car you need, the roof over your head, the food, whatever it takes for your basic existence. You can commit the time and effort. It's only 40 hours out of 168. At least 128 hours to do the basics of sleeping and eating and all the basics, and then spend the rest of the time passionately pursuing this thing that could change your life forever and just simply make you feel fulfilled. You'll hear a lot of people that have made enormous amounts of money. It was much more about the journey and the fulfillment of that process and who they became along the way. But it takes time. Stop being delusional about how little time you think you can spend going after it. By the way, let me just give you another little eye-opener here. If you're feeling anxious, worried, depressed because the enormity of pursuing that thing is hurting you, get treatment for that, right? Get treatment for that. There's a very legitimate thing that can happen to us, is that when we're after our dreams, we can very well get overwhelmed by what it would take and maybe change our own body chemistry and put ourselves in a state that needs professional help. Get it, so that while you're working on curing that, you then have this more sound mind to be able to think about what's possible for you and putting in and having the energy to get after it, okay? Let me go to the third point here. In this modern internet age, this is why this is super relevant. Don't underestimate the enemy. Distractions have modernized their weaponry. What do I mean? Well, if you think about the more isolationist way that people lived for hundreds of years, that when they retreated to their home, even if it was in a city, it becomes very quiet and there's no way to get out. Of course, radio, people sat around a radio and they could get out of that isolation feeling by listening to the radio. They could get out by, certainly before that even, reading books. And that was one of the greatest things that you could do, was sit down and actually really work on your brain connections by doing something positive and reading a book and learning words and being able to write. I mean, there was just such a great skill set that was almost forced upon people who just didn't want to go crazy in isolation in the other 128 hours where they were not working. Follow me? And again, I'm just using 40 hours as an industrialized work week. Many people for years worked much harder than that, but there was the downtime. In the downtime, the distractions were less. They were just less, because now the enemy has found their way, distractions, the enemy has found their way into your life everywhere you go, because you're walking around with a phone that is a quote unquote smartphone. So the enemy is smart. And now you have all these applications that are fighting for your attention. And some of them, games, visual pictorial type of apps, they know how to play you. It's like Vegas. You ever go to Vegas? And if you haven't, just go Google the sound of the hypnotic music of these slot machines that just hypnotize you, so that by the time you finally wake up, you don't have any money left. Same thing with these apps. The enemy is real. It is hypnotizing us into a state where we don't even realize it's changing our body chemistry, and we feel best when we're on those visual apps. When we're locked in, there's some sort of a chemical change in our body that we're addicted. So the enemy is so sophisticated. Not only is the distraction happening in that moment, but the minute you put it down and finally take a break, it's with you still. The chemical change that you felt, now you go out and you have to do some work. Somebody says, sit down and read a book. What? A book? That's work. See what I mean? The enemy is way more sophisticated. And so the time you hear the term going down the black hole or the rabbit hole with social and pictorial and whatever it might be, gaming, we're gone, we're lost. Now, again, if you're a professional gamer and that's what you do, professional YouTuber, and that's what you do, fabulous. Look to those people. They're not getting distracted by other things. They're actually on social, hyper-focused on being that star, being that person, or that app developer is making millions of dollars. The question more so is for the rest of us that are being sucked in and taken away from the time that we need to be applying to the thing that we want to be. Think about somebody who wants to be a great writer, and every time they go online to do some research, next thing you know, an ad pops up or they're on their phone and an app, is staring them in the face and off they go. You see what I mean? It's just war. And the enemy is sophisticated, very sophisticated now. So that begs all of the question, begs the question, how do you get out of this? How do you fight back? If it's war, I get it. I want to declare, war against it. What do I do? Well, I was thinking about this the other day, that there are a lot of techniques and tactics that people use to be successful. And one of them you'll hear about a lot is written goals. Brian Tracy's made basically a living coaching, writing down your goals. That's the core message that is in a lot of his work. And he's right. And he references studies at major universities where the success level of the person who wrote their goal down was 10x in some study of what somebody who didn't. And we're talking about some smart people at Harvard, Stanford, whomever they really studied. I've heard them so many different ways. But it'll suffice to say, Aristotle said it, we're goal-seeking organisms. So the clearer the goal is, and if it's written, there's something magical about written, which is starting to fade because now it's more typed somewhere. But I really, really like the old-fashioned pencil, the mechanical pencil, which is not old-fashioned, but mechanical pencil and writing something down, even if it's the daily goal, and that's leading me to the big goal. What do I want to be? See, my big goal is to become a person for others in the fullest example of that I can. So that translates into, all right, well, how do you do that in your real estate business? How do you do that with your 5 kids? How do you do that just as a general giver of this information? So that general goal, which I've written down many times, right, is very clear to me, and it's simple. Be a person for others, period. It's a directive. So if you take something like that, but let's say that you want to be more specific, and you can just add a little bit to it. Be a person for others in the real estate business. Be a person for others with your children. So you can extend that simple, clear goal and write it down. And what I would recommend is you write it somewhere where you see it every day. And more importantly, I'd almost put it on a little, say an index card that you get laminated, almost like a wallet, size card. You get something made like that, and like a license size, and you put it at the top of your wallet, and you keep it there, and you protect it, right? So if you write down the simple, clear goals, they remind you constantly of the precious value they hold in your life, because that's the key little trick in general that I often will share with you, that in this case, I'm declaring war against distractions that have become more sophisticated. And the irony is I am fighting them with a simple hammer. And that is my written goal in a little placard form. And I guarantee you that I will go make one of these and I'll show it to you on subsequent podcasts. But just to hold it precious, like a gold bar in your pocket. Like if somebody gets that, if the enemy, I'll be all right. If the enemy comes and gets that little gold, that little piece of gold, it could be the end of the fabulous life I could have lived to fight it like that. All right, let's go back and summarize this. We're picking a fight today. why you must declare war on distractions is our subject. And the first point is that distractions are the thieves that you allow to steal your dreams. Those distractions, not the general ones we can't avoid when we're walking down the street, but I'm talking about the ones you allow. Second point, it takes much more time than you think it does to succeed. So there really is no room to allow for distractions. So stop doing it. Stop justifying it, saying it's okay. It's not. Real, genuine downtime to relax is, but allowing for distractions that are stealing time, no. 3, don't underestimate the enemy, because distractions have modernized their weaponry. Just think social. Just think technology. They've modernized the way that they get to you, and then the sophistication with which they addict you to them and not your goal. So how do you fight back? With a simple old-fashioned hammer. You write your simple, clear goals down to remind you constantly of the precious value they hold in your life. And I recommend you write the very core goal of your life down, and you stick it in your pocket, your wallet, your purse, on your wall, wherever you are, regularly, to remind you that you're under attack and they're trying to steal your gold bar. All right, let me summarize it with a statement that says this. We're under attack by our own distractions like never before. It's nearly impossible to completely avoid their forces, so you must declare war against them. The simplest way to do so is to write down your most precious and valuable goals and protect them with all you have, because they truly represent your best life or the potential death of your dreams. Hey, remember, you can take immediate action. I sound like a Shakespeare actor there, didn't I? Got a little into it there, but I mean that. It's heavy. But remember, you can take immediate action to get moving in this better direction, because we take all the notes from each episode and we post them for a short period of time at freethinkingtools.com. So whenever you listen to this, there'll be a couple of podcasts over there that you can use to start to learn how to work on your life versus just keep doing in it. Also, don't forget, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and you won't miss out on any insights each time we upload. We also post all of our episodes on our social media channels, so remember to turn on your notifications for the bonus section, and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other people just like you, so that they get the help they need, and you can help me fulfill my mission, and you can join in that mission of being a true person for others. Hey, thanks for listening, but I'm going to sign off the same way I always do. Remember this one simple fact. Nobody's coming for you. Nobody. So go get to work on a better plan for your life, and I'll see you in the next episode to do just that. Thanks again.